Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. My name is Adam Cohn. I am your host. Joining by the well-rested, returning winner of all things, Showdown Slates, it's Dan Welch. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Adam, not too much. Today was a good day. I'm glad I got some rest and relaxation and cap it off with a little 10x day on the showdown.
You love to see it. Congrats on the 10x. Dan, absolutely crushed Showdown today in a very unique way. He actually went 2-2. He went 2 Captain, what was it? You went 2 Captain Gambit and you ran it back with, what was it, Shuzhen Cadian from Heroic?
Shushin Cadian, yep.
Very, very nice.
Thank
So,
you.
Dan, welcome back to the podcast. And for all of you
Thank you.
listeners out there as well, welcome back to the CSGO Clutch. So Dan and I are going to do something a little different. Typically, this podcast is only going to cover the Tier 1 events and or Tier 1 Draftkings main slates. Right, Dan? So, and again, welcome back. It's good to have you back. I feel like I've been talking to myself on the last couple solo podcasts.
We
I
don't
can't
want that.
debate with myself, Dan! I mean, I can, but no one wants to hear it.
I mean, you could just yell loud enough. Maybe someone would hear you.
There was plenty of yelling. Thank you, Team Liquid. Thank you, Team Vitality. Anyway,
Yep.
I digress. Anyway, so typically what Dan and I cover here on the podcast is Tier 1 events and or Tier 1 DraftKings main slates. So, Dan and I were looking. I talked to you all about this yesterday, right? I talked to y'all about this yesterday. I was debating on doing FunSpark or we're going to go to DreamHack. DreamHack's the next Tier 1 event. Now, it's not a long event, but it gets us into some of the other events. This FunSpark Europe Final event. So it's called the FunSpark ULTI 2020 Europe Final.
Okay.
It's not a Tier 1 event, so to speak. Maybe. I don't know. I'm used to the EPLs, the DreamHacks, the Blasts, the IEM events, like those big events. We have a lot of Tier 1 teams in this event. So that's why I figured, I'm like, you know what? Dan's up for it. We covers it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we got Virtus Pro and Complexity to start off tomorrow, so
Absolutely.
I mean,
We have
they're
Big,
no
we got EG.
slouches. Yeah.
Like, we have some Tier 1 teams here. And I mean, like, Extra Salt, a lot of us know them from the old Cloud9 days. Dignitas, who we just saw him in Blast. Havu's been making a ton of noise. And Forze is like that perennial, like, upper end Tier 2 has a tough time making it to Tier 1.
Yeah.
So Dan, I think it would cover it. Again, so typically, if there's a break in between the Tier 1 events, we may or may not cover it. It depends on who's playing and everything else. We have some Tier 1 teams. Dan and I wanted to cover it for you all, so we're just going to go over and quickly preview this FunSpark 2020 Europe Final event. I don't know what ULTI is, but the FunSpark ULTI 2020 Europe Final features 8 teams. It's a double elimination bracket. Dan, I think this is our first double elimination bracket we had since we started the podcast. And possibly the first double elimination bracket we've had this year. So, the double elimination bracket format is very simple. You want to win the upper bracket. Why do you want to win the upper bracket, you ask? I'll tell myself why you want to win the upper bracket. No, I'm kidding. I'll tell you why you want to win in the upper bracket.
But Adam, I'm here now.
I get it. Dan, I get it. Listen. You haven't been here for a couple of days. I've been talking to myself, trying to make compelling content for the folks out there. No. So, double elimination brackets. You want to win the upper bracket because you get a 1 map advantage in the grand final. That 1 map advantage is huge. You start off 1-0. So rather than picking 5 maps, there are only 4. The winner in the upper bracket already has that 1 map advantage. So whoever goes to the lower bracket, congrats, you're in the grand final. You're already down 0-1. So you want to go. I mean, you got to play your best Counter-Strike regardless. You have incentive to win an upper bracket in a double elimination bracket. You absolutely want to. Like, I think if we just look at these teams, we have Virtus Pro, Forze, Complexity, Havu, Big, Extra Salt, Evil Geniuses, and Dignitas. I'll pick Virtus Pro to get to the grand final and win. They're the clear favorite in my opinion. Right, Dan? Don't leave me again. Dan,
Absolutely.
I don't
I
want
was
to
just
start talking
muted
to
for a
myself
second.
again, Dan.
No, yeah, it's got to be Virtus Pro, unless for some strange reason that, as we see in Counter Strike many times, they get punted or they get eliminated early
I don't
on.
want to talk about it. You don't want me on another Team Liquid or Team Vitality rant. But anyway.
I don't think we have anything to worry about with
Yep.
the Virtus Pro.
Yeah, no. So instead of I'm not going to talk to myself. But Dan, I'm going to talk to you. We have these 8 teams. We have, arguably, like you and I said, we arguably think Virtus Pro is going to win this thing. They're clearly the strongest team out of anyone here. I mean, the next strongest other team is Complexity, in my opinion. Havu's made a lot of noise. They have played a lot of
Yep.
Counter-Strike recently. They have made they've made a lot of noise. They've played so many maps over the last 3 months. They are now actually, this Havu team is ranked number 18 in the world. Not bad for a tier 2 team.
Pretty good.
I mean, there are a lot of other teams like, we're going to be able to see Evil Geniuses now with the debut of Mihu. That'll be interesting to see. We're gonna see Big again. We're gonna see how they look. So this is very interesting. So there's a $250,000 prize pool with this. It's only 8 teams. $150,000 to first place, $50,000 to second, $15,000 each to third and fourth, $5,000 each to fifth and sixth, and 7 and 8th. Heroic.
So
Go ahead.
I gotta say, I mean, this, as we've kind of alluded to, it's not necessarily a tier 1 tournament, but that's a pretty big.
It's a pretty big prize pool.
Yeah, I mean, 150.
All
could see
Dan and
that
I is
capturing.
saying is just give us 2% of the winnings.
Yeah, I'll take that.
We'll take 2%. We're cheering all of you on. We're breaking this down. All we ask for is a simple 2% of the entire $250,000 prize pool each. That's all. We're not being super greedy. You want to give us 5%,
Yeah, nothing.
10%, the entire prize pool? We're okay with that. Anyway, Dan, you want to get into breaking down the winning lineup from the previous slate?
Let's do it.
All right. So we'll get into these teams more and more as we go on throughout this event. It's only a 1-week event, but we'll get into breaking down these teams a bit more. Definitely a lot of teams that a lot of you all are probably familiar with. Maybe some you don't. We're here to help you out with that. Dan, solo takedown by 16 points.
Crazy.
Captain Shiro with Axile with a 2 gambit that you needed. Here's where the crazy comes in, Dan. A 2-2-2 took down a 2-game slate.
Basically a game stack.
That's not optimal. Well, typically optimal. Like we've
This
been
might have been
seeing
actually
with these.
the optimal, though.
Right, but again, like typically what we see when you win a GPP on a 2-game slate is typically a 3-3 or a 3-2-1. That's typical. A 2-2-2 is very different. So let's go over it. The entire lineup was 2 Gambit, 2 Team Spirit, 2 G2, Captain Shiro, Axile, Mir, Hunter, SDY, and Nico. I said yesterday on the podcast, Hunter and Nico definitely the 2 G2 you wanted. I said 7,000 for Nico was way too cheap. I thought he'd be much higher chalk than 32.1%. I don't get the low ownership on Nico. Nico had 25 assists.
That's crazy.
25 assists.
So that's where you got all those points.
My goodness. Yeah, and Hunter you needed 71, 15, and 60 with an ace.
Huh. Yeah, we're going to keep that in mind for next time, because maybe there's something to be said about the Krieg getting some assists for Nico.
Krieg is a good gun. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's a good gun.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it was nerfed last year. A lot of people that were users of it stopped using it. So again, like we've talked about before, the Krieg is just the terrorist version of the AUG. It's the sniper rifle. So it's the the M4 and the AK are the two main weapons for the counter-terrorist and terrorist side, respectively. The AUG and the Krieg, or the SG-553, I believe its actual name is kind of like that hybrid. It has the scope on the top that you can scope in, and it's still a normal rifle. While it may not, you know, it sprays kind of sort of as fast as the others, but you get to use the scope with it. But it's not an op where it's obviously you scope in, you shoot them, and as long as you don't leg them, they're usually dead. And it's like it's in the middle of the price range between the M4 and the op as well. Op, obviously, one of the most expensive guns in the game. What do you think about this lineup, Dan? Because I think that the game stack here was definitely very unique.
Yeah, I mean, at first glance, I probably wouldn't have done it, but then I'm like, well, if I played out the scenario in my head, I think I could have come here out of 20 lineups.
Mm-hmm.
It's not likely, but just because of my hangings on how to structure a lineup for depending on the slate. So it's not likely that I would have done this, but I could see getting here for sure. I mean, it's not nobody special. It's Mir, SDY, Hunter, Nico, Shiro, Axel. I mean, we're talking the
The usual
top,
suspects.
yeah, top fraggers. I mean, if
Mir's
you
been
think
going
that,
off. Man,
yeah,
Mir's
yeah,
making a serious case for top 20 this year.
very good, very good.
Shiro's making a strong argument for top 3. Just saying.
Yeah,
Axile's definitely making a strong case for top 10. Hobbit,
yep.
top 15. Hunter, top 20. Um, it's a unique line. There's nothing really to take away. It's a lot of guys you know. It was just you needed the uniqueness of breaking through what usually is optimal and just going 2-2-2. That's all. Nothing
I
else.
played Some Young today, and the only reason was because he showed up on the name that frag on
Oy
the
vey.
in their breaks. I'm like, oh, I'll play SDY just because they showed one of his multi kills.
Yeah. I don't even know where we get ads. That's besides the point. Like, if you have all these like segments and there's no subscribe button on Twitch, how are we supposed to watch those segments?
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. I don't want to piss blast off, but remove the ads or give us a subscribe button or an option to cash in points for ad-free viewing. That's all I'm asking. Anyway, I'm kidding. Kinda. Anyway, I digress. Nothing else we need to break down here, do we?
Nope, I'm good.
No ads. What? Anyway, I really like for what it's worth, like when no ads actually pop up and I can watch an entire like half or the mid breaks there. I like the skin selectors and hearing the logic behind each one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And if
And
you
there's
all
always like a
want
really
out there,
colorful skin.
mm-hmm,
I'm sorry, what?
if you all out there, just saying, you want to donate a print stream to me, I'll take a print stream Deagle. I'll take a print stream
Ah,
M4A1S. That's all I'm saying. I'm
yeah,
not spending the I'm not spending the several $100 each to buy the skin. They're so expensive.
that was the one that stood out to me. It's black and white, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah, I like that one.
the skin itself is gorgeous. All the different patterns along like the gun itself is just fantastic. It's a skin I wouldn't want to put any kind of stickers on. It's so crisp, it's clean, it's gorgeous. It it reflects in the light. It changes colors. It's a gorgeous looking gun. So out there
Yep.
just saying, you want to buy me an M4A1S print stream or a Deagle, just let me know. Kidding. Anyway, let's talk about the slate then. It's the first FunSpark slate. It's Forze versus VP kicking us off. Yakindar is the highest priced player on the slate at $9,800. James at $9,000. What are we doing with Virtus Pro? We'll get into Forze here in a second, but I want to get this out of the way with. They're expensive.
For good reason.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm actually gonna fade James for the most part. just because I've noticed that he doesn't always do that great when they like really wreck another team. I mean, he tends to kind of not hide or get lost, but like the other guys are just getting all the frags, and there's only so many frags to go around. And with a team like Forza right now, I don't think they're going to put up much of a fight.
I would agree with that. Again, so I'm outright fading Forza in a single lineup.
Yeah, yeah,
Because the next game we're going to have a lot to go over.
exactly.
But so let's just go over some of the Forza stats. Forza over the last month of play have played 17 maps. Zordy and Kensei are new to this roster, I believe within the last 2 months or so. Well, definitely less than 3 months. Because they're not popping up here over 3 months. So
Yeah, it's very new.
if we just look over all of it, oh my goodness, the Vulcan is $500. I'm sorry. I have to look at this, folks. A minimal wear stat track Vulcan is $500. That just sticks. I mean, it's a nice gun. I'm not spending $500 on this. No way. Anyway, sorry.
You can buy with cryptocurrency.
Would you stop with the crypto?
It's been a good weekend for crypto, my friend.
Cash out. Make your money and get out. Anyway, so over the last month of play, Forza have played 17 maps. Over the last 3 months, they have not played a top 20 team. With that being said, let's put this in the context of the last month of play. 17 maps. Flit is plus 46 with the 1.14 kill to death ratio. Zordy is plus 62 with a 1.23 kill to death ratio. Kensei's plus 7. Jerry's minus 22. No surprise there. Almazer minus 41. We're not playing either one of them. They're not exactly that good. I'm more interested if you're playing anyone in Flit and Zordy. That's for me.
Yes.
You play Flit or you play Zordy. If you want
No, sorry.
to play some Kensei or Kensei in an MMB format, I'm okay with that. Like 5-10%. But their stats don't exactly pop off the page. I mean, let's just go to their matches real quick. Who did they play? So they've played 3 best of ones in a row. They've played Movie Star Writers twice, beat them once, got stomped. They beat them, stomped them. Movie Star Writers then stomped them back. All right. Sorrow, they beat 16-7. I don't even know who that is. Sprout, they lost to. Windstrike, they lost to. Dignitas, they lost to. They beat Trident, lost to 1 win. Beat Namiga. Beat Benzinadeji. Beat that team. Benzinadeji.
Yeah.
They beat them
it's
in
not
overtime,
good.
and they lost again to Namiga. So this Forza team, while we has talent, they're probably like middle of the road tier 2 right now. This sticks out. The losses in best of 3s to Sprout, Windstrike, and Dignitas. Stronger tier 2 teams. Lost to. Okay?
And they're getting swept at a pretty good clip too, so it's it just doesn't.
They're not. They're getting swept by tier 2 teams. This is Virtus Pro. This is the 3rd best Counter-Strike team in the world right now. I expect a spanking, metaphorically speaking. So,
of course.
out of those 3 games, Dan, so 6 maps, 3 they didn't even get to 10 rounds. 9, 8, and 9. 2 of those maps went to overtime. 1 of them they got 12 rounds on. So, I mean, we take this with a grain of salt. I want absolutely no part of Forza on this slate.
Right.
Not against the 3rd best Counter-Strike team in the world. It's Gambit 1, Gap, Heroic, Tiny Gap, Virtus Pro. If you want to tell me Virtus Pro is better than Heroic, you can make the argument, and I'd be okay with it.
That would be a tough one for anyone.
I mean, I'm still putting Heroic because of what we've seen. They just lost their first game over the last month and a half with this roster.
And I mean, in reality, they probably shouldn't have lost today because I mean they were. I don't know what happened on their CT side of train, but they just crumbled somehow. So
I mean, like Heroic are really good. Like again, I wasn't just being a fanboy when I was saying this team is super elite. You basically traded out Nico and Borup for two better players. Sorry, Nico and Borup. Again, Shush, which was the ace of Mad Lions for a while, or one of the two best players on Mad Lions, becomes the fifth best player on Heroic. Right now, probably the fourth best player, and poor Refresh and Shush, they're going back and forth between 4 and 5. This roster's stacked. But anyway, I digress. Everyone on Virtus Pro is playable to me. I'm focusing on Yakindar and Jame because of pricing on this slate, Dan. I can't believe you talked me onto him. I don't want to.
Sanji,
I don't want to do it, Dan. I don't want to do it.
it's 5,800
I don't want to do it.
in a prime sweep position
I
where you're
don't
almost
want to do
guaranteed
it.
21 points.
Sanji is my third favorite player on the slate. Dan convinced me pre-show. But
So we're also probably going to get Dust 2 and Mirage, where he's not that bad. And who tends to not be so great is Senior Buster.
on Dust 2 and Mirage,
Yeah, his stats aren't the
I'd
best.
I'd still rather have Buster over Kickert.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Kicker. Yeah, for sure.
Just get me Sanjferno, please.
hmm
Sanjferno.
No,
Just saying.
he's got good Dust 2 and Mirage stats. So, and I'm telling you, in these sweeps, like what does he need if they do sweep? Like another.
He needs 58 points. And again, this is something where I want to start getting into this probably within the next couple months. I want to try building and getting some data. Or if anyone knows, they can get me data. I can get some Counter-Strike data at what the actual like average X value is we need for these players. Like at 5,800, does he need 10x? Does he need 12x?
I think it's
11x?
relative to the size of the field. I mean, it has to be because you
Also
can't.
true.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking NFL with like an 8 game slate, then I think those rules apply. But this doesn't it just doesn't seem to work out the same way
Yeah.
because then it's like, well, 0.7x
For what
really
it's worth, I
was the
think
ideal.
Sanji is going to be real chalk on the slate.
Mm, yeah, probably.
But people may just not want to play
Good
him.
chalk though.
He, I,
Good chalk. Good chalk.
he's risky chalk.
Mm,
It's Sanji. He's a support player, I think.
yeah, but he's good. Sanji's good.
We will see. But I'm focusing on Yakindar first. I
Kinder is definitely the
Yeah,
target for me.
he's my core play on the slate. Kind of not really a surprise. He's the highest standout. It's just, and so for folks, we could just show you all real quick. And if you want to captain Yakindar, good luck. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that to be rude. If you want to go Yakindar, Jame, and let's just say Sanji, you have 6,833 left per player. That means you got to outright pump with some of these cheap guys. If you want to go play 2 complexity, you want to go, let's just say Blame F and config, you're at 3,900. You want to go poison config, 5,100. You're playing either Kensei, Jemmy, or Almazer. Good luck. You want to go JKS and config? At least you get 7,100 left. You want to go running back with Azori? You want to fit in a rush? I don't mind that. I just think playing Captain Yakindar on the slate, while it seems obvious, due to the pricing on this slate, that's going to be very difficult to play who we want to play. You agree, Dan?
Yep.
Excellent. Anything else you want to talk about here? Forze or VP?
Just back to my James fade. That's just to fit other people because obviously I don't think it's because he's not going to do well just because there might be other players around that price that have more value for me. That's all.
Also understandable. Jim, I'm a little up and down on. I don't know what I want to do with him yet. Like a little after you were talking about your James fade, but we will see. I want to fit Yakindo either captain or flex. I do not want to not get off of him on this slate.
No, definitely no getting off of Kinder. I mean, I don't even care if if that costs me money, whatever. Like
On to the
that
next
is not
slate.
a rule that. Yeah, there you
Anyway,
go.
alrighty, Dan. Let's get on to the second game here and the final game on this two-game slate. Havu versus Complexity. Ariel
Yeah.
has been something else ever since leaving Ents. Talk to me
Let's
about
not
Havu.
forget X7 either. X7 was also ends.
X7, I think was I don't think he was ever on Ents. I think he was on
Really?
Forze. No, maybe it wasn't Forze. He was on some other team. I remember him from somewhere else from some of the tier one slates. I forget what.
Well, now I'm looking it up.
You go look that up. What are we doing with Havu and Complexity?
Hey, he was on Ents last year until July.
Oh, how about that?
Boom.
All right, whatever. You're right. I'm wrong. Host the podcast. I'm done. Bye.
Adam, come back. Hello?
I don't want to talk to
Adam, you
you.
there?
I don't want to talk to you. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, what are we doing with Havu and Complexity here?
Mix it up. I mean, to be honest with you, I think anybody on either team is in play because of pricing and or because anyone can actually do well. Mostly because if I look at the bottom and I see Jemmy Rush, Slowy, JKS, and their pricing kind of matches what I see as their potential. And people who haven't seen Slowy or Jemmy, they're put some pretty decent scores. And Rush, as much as everybody shits on Rush, he is good. And if
He's
they
going
go up,
against non-tier one competition.
there you go. He could have some good. He's got some good. It's a good matchup for him in his entry fragging. And JKF, I mean, come on, like we're talking about former ace of 100 Thieves and still performing, I would say, or just kind of really coming into it on complexity.
Mm-hmm. Now, for me, the only three Havu I want to play, and I really, really want to stress this, I want to try fitting Ariel in any lineup that I can. I don't care if it's a
Yeah,
one-off or if you decide to go with a 2-1, 2 Havu, 1 Complexity. I can't stress that enough. Ariel's been playing out of his mind. And we think, it's Ariel. He wasn't that good on Ents. Let me tell you what Ariel has done over the last 3 months. I'm taking this top 20 out. Over the last 3 months of play, okay?
he's
Ariel, this team has played 89 maps over the last 3 months. Ariel's plus 397 in leading the team. He's got a
enough said.
He's got a 1.27 kill to death ratio. This is Ariel that we're talking about. The stink with him from Ents is gone. Or it's definitely dissipating.
Yeah, I mean sometimes those you get into those roles on those tier one teams, and you can't really break out of it. And I
And
mean maybe he just
Ents
needed to
was
be.
also a mess for a while, for what it's worth.
Well,
Ents
yeah,
Ents was a mess for a while.
absolutely.
Ever since they lost Alexi B to OG, that team was a mess for a while, in my opinion.
I mean, look at the pieces that fell out. Like you got Ariel X7, Sonny, who's starting his own team with Flusha, which that could be a good thing.
I
And
don't know
Alexi
what
B, I
to
mean,
make of that roster.
yeah, I mean, it could turn into something. But I guess the point I'm making is there's some really good pieces that have shown that with when they weren't constrained by that team, that they're doing really well. So maybe that's evidence that um, Ariel and X7 are actually poised to do well, not just tomorrow, but
Let's
to
talk
go
about
further.
X7. Let's talk about him.
Okay.
Over the last 3 months of play, he's played 89 maps and only is plus 196. He's the third best player on this team. I like X7. Gut for me on this slate, I want nothing to do with him. As like a core piece.
Okay.
Showdown, get exposure. Main slate, be very careful with your exposure. Uh, who's the opera on this team? I think
Zore.
it is Zore, okay.
Yeah, he's not bad either, especially on Dust 2, which I'm pretty sure they're going to play.
Zore's plus 348 with a 1.27 kill to death ratio as well.
I'd say get some Zore if you can.
Yeah. And he
I mean,
fits
well,
with,
you
he
should be able to.
fits with some of the Captain Yakindar builds for what it's worth.
That is true.
All right. Now here's what I want to show you all. Over the last 3 months of play against top 20 teams, they've played Gambit, Big, and Nip. They beat Big 2-0. They beat Nip 2-1. They lost to Gambit 2-1. Keep this in mind. Ariel is plus 28. Zore is plus 7. X7's minus 12. Slowy's minus 17. Jemmy's minus 38. Ariel has a 1.20 kill to death ratio against top 20 teams. Again, 8 maps. It's only on those 3 teams I mentioned. The stink with him being on Ents is dissipating. And he wasn't terrible on Ents. Wasn't he the third best one?
I don't recall when I looked back. It looked like there was some. I think he left, and someone else came in that I don't remember. I don't remember how that worked, but
I know Ariel he was definitely good. He had potential. But anyway,
yeah,
he's clearly the ace of this team. Zore right behind him. Let's go against
Yampi. Remember when Yampi came in and took
that.
over for X7?
Oh, that was it. And
Oh,
then
and
and then and then
Valorant.
Yappy went to Valorant.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Young kid wants to make the jump. That's fine. All right. So I like Ariel on this team. If I had to have a second core play, it's him.
Yeah.
Against
Definitely.
top 30 teams, gives us a bit more of an indication. Okay. And again, complexity is a top 10 team, for what it's worth. They've played 56 maps against top 30 opponents. Don't forget, Havu is currently ranked 18th according to HLTV.org. That's obviously going to change after Blast, in my opinion. Ariel's plus 174 with a 1.18 kill to death ratio. Zori's plus 153 with a 1.17 kill to death ratio. X7's plus 77 with a 1.08 kill to death ratio. Slowy's actually plus 20 with a 1.02 kill to death ratio. And Jemmy's minus 97. I really like Havu on this slate. Havu, I think, is going to be way lower on than they should. If you've been grinding Tier 2 CSGO, you've played Havu. You know them. If you're a casual player, and you're like, who is this team? I don't know anyone here. Hey, take advantage, folks. I will tell you this right now for Showdown. I like, you can either do a 2-2, 2 Havu, 2 complexity. You can go 3 Havu, 1 complexity. Mix it up. Dan, what are we doing with this game?
Well, I just want to say that X7 just had a couple of bad matches really recently against Skade, who's been playing really good, and then I guess Apex too. Had one bad map, which has really kind of hurt him. But
He's not a bad player.
no, no, he'd be right up there if it wasn't for those 3 bad maps. But what am I doing?
How are you attacking this guy? Or are you just trying to fit in 3 VP and trying to figure out your lineup from there?
I think for me, it's really gonna. As hard as it is trying to figure out who's going to be the lowest owned, and that sometimes that's going to be based on what you and I talk about, like after the fact. I'll go into it thinking that Oh yeah, complexity is definitely going to be chalk. And then I'm like, well, the more I talk about it with Adam, the more I think that maybe people are going to be are going to gravitate towards Havu, which is kind of happening in my mind right now, which is pushing me back towards complexity. Um,
Well,
yeah, let's look at the odds.
I did a
Let's look at
lineup
the odds.
with you prior to, I lined up with you pre-show. Okay, I showed you something that could be really, really interesting in terms of a very unique captain, and it
Oh yeah,
worked.
I like it.
So, anyway, with that being said, here are the pinnacle odds for this game. Dan, maybe this will help you out. The first game's kind of a no surprise. Virtus Pro is a minus 554 favorite. Forza's plus 355, a plus 355 underdog. Here's the second game. I'm interested in this. Complexity is a minus 142 favorite, but Halvu's only a plus 107 underdog. That's interesting. That
Yeah, I mean,
I really wonder how that's going to affect ownership.
it's going to. I mean, you talk about the general public. If they're in any of these larger tournaments, then they're going to be playing. They're going to be playing the favorite for GPP. So for for single entries, I don't. People are, I think, sharp enough to know that it's probably going to be split between Havu and complexity.
Mm-hmm.
Which for me is means I can probably go either way and feel comfortable.
Yep. All right, Dan. I think we talked about these games enough.
Okay.
Let's get into our core value in GPP segment. But before we do that and get into the plays that we really like that we're going to possibly build around, I'll give it for you guys. Everyone, if you can please hit that like button. That helps us out a lot. We want to continue again. We want to grow this thing. We want to get to a bigger market. We'd like to be able to see what everyone is listening. We've already heard from some of you. You're crushing. You're winning money. You're winning GPPs. I've heard from a couple of people, Dan, over the last couple of days. Listening to the pod, they're winning. So
Nice. That's awesome.
I love to see everyone putting in the time, the research, the dedication. I love it. We want to continue to grow this. We want to make it bigger. We want to bring Dan and I's love of Counter Strike and Counter Strike DFS. We want to continue to make that bigger and just share that with people. Right? Like again, you know, Dan and I do this for fun. Like we love this stuff. We want to continue to grow this, make this bigger. We want to make it a much bigger success. You guys can help us out with that. We want to make this bigger. I'm sure the YouTube algorithms per sub or like or however it is, something generates, maybe get into that like front page or like, hey, this kind of seems interesting. Um, but if you can all hit that like button, that'd be great. Hit the subscribe button as well, and then hit the notification bell next to it. That way, that you all know every single time one of these podcasts drop. It's kind of difficult with Counter Strike because slates don't typically come out to pricing comes out around like mid to late afternoon, early evening, and then Dan and I record. So by the time we're recording and this thing gets uploaded and up, you want to make sure you're notified every single time when this drops. That way you're able to listen to it in time, do your research. Dan and I are going to get better. We're going to give you more stats and everything else and our opinions. It's just another tool to help you all in your Counter-Strike DFS lineup process. And leave a comment down below. Tell us what you like about the podcast, what you don't like, what maybe you'd like to see from Dan and I. Is there something that we're missing? Maybe you want to know more about oppers or riflers. Maybe you want to know more about IGLs. Maybe there's something else you would like to see us incorporate into the podcast. We're open to ideas. So definitely let us know in the comment section below. Dan, we also got a couple other cool announcements that are coming up. I teased one yesterday when you were out. We got a Twitter launching soon.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Get pumped and excited for that. And
I am.
we have a lot of cool things in the pipeline. We got a couple. So we got some logos in the pipeline. We have one now that was done from uh, my buddy Nate. Shout out to him for doing our awesome logo. I think it's pretty effing cool, to be honest. The logo's badass.
Good.
We're trying out different stuff. So we have a couple other ideas. We got some YouTube thumbnail ideas. We got a bunch of cool stuff in the pipeline. And then we're only a month into this podcast. So we have a lot of cool stuff planned for you all. Again, hit that like button, leave a comment down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way that you all know every single time when these podcasts drop. And the Twitter will have definitely more once we release that coming up here in the next coming weeks. That'll have more information about announcements and things like that. Stay tuned. There's some big stuff coming down the pipeline. Dan, core
Adam,
value GPP segment of the show. Give us one of each.
core, I am going to go with X7.
Really?
Yeah, I think for the price and for what I've seen and for what I expect tomorrow, I think I can't help but not fade in any of my single entries.
You have massive grapefruits, my dude. Massive
And I hope
grapefruit.
other people if they listen and they do that, then I hope that that works out for them. Otherwise,
I'd have X7 as a
I didn't
GP.
say it.
Plausible deniability. We're just going to edit that out from the podcast. We're going to completely just get rid of that. Dan never had a core play segment because it didn't work out. You never said it.
Beep.
For what it's worth, well,
Oh shit.
X7 is not a core play for me. I definitely put him in my GPP playlist.
Yeah.
I'm not as confident in him as you are. He's a GPP play for me, not a core, but I like and respect the call. Give us a value play and a GPP play.
Value. I'm gonna go with. Oh shoot. I didn't really think about this too much, but Zore.
I like that call.
Thank you.
6,400. I like that call.
He's the opper. Potential op maps. I can't get away from it. And then GPP. I'm going to go with Flit.
Interesting GPP call. I like that one off. Core play for
Next.
me is kind of sort of no surprise. It's Yakindar. I don't care if
Yeah.
you capped him. I don't care if you put him in the flex spot. You have to have him on the slate. And if he doesn't do well, one, I'll be shocked. Two, I just won't care. I will.
That's a
I,
great way
w-
to put it.
I will potentially lose money, and I'm on to the next slate. I just don't care. He is the lockest of locks on this slate. It's just such a lopsided matchup. This isn't a 9Z going against a struggling Team Vitality. This is arguably the third best team in the world. You can make an argument for number two. Virtus Pro are a juggernaut going up against a middling tier 2 team in Forza who is still trying to find their way. All about Yakindar. I'm going to hit the lock button on him. Of course, anything can happen, but I definitely want to be way overweight to the field on Yakindar and MMEs for sure. I like your Zore call for the value. I'm going to give you all two more. I'm going to give you JKS and Rush.
Okay.
GPP play / value play, Zordi. Sanji. Ariel. And Blamef. Dan,
We went from
listen.
the
I am
we
used
went
to
from the
doing...
value to the 10 value, but
Listen, I'm used to doing blog posts and giving multiple plays, alright? And
I understand.
anyway. Favorite team stack?
Uh, I mean, got to go with the obvious on this one. That's Virtus Pro.
Agreed. Bold prediction.
Um, this is a tough one. Because I don't even think that Virtus or that Forza has even a chance. So I don't even want to pretend like that's even a possibility. So I'm gonna go with
the fact that you're struggling to say Forza has a chance in a bold prediction piece, I think, kind of says a lot.
I'll go with Rush in the winning GPP.
I like it.
5K.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, for me, my bold prediction: Captain Ariel is going to win someone a GPP,
Okay.
and I think Havu beat Complexity 2-1 on the back of Ariel carrying this team.
That's probably what's going to happen.
I would agree. And
But they
again,
have been looking good. I feel like this is a repeat of Dignitas, where you were, high on liquid, and maybe it's good that that happened, and tomorrow when Complexity win, you can be you can be really upset.
will I also have plausible deniability then?
One
uh,
thing I've learned from Counter Strike is like nothing ever happens as expected, and just or maybe it's DFS, but
oh, it's
um,
DFS. It's DFS.
if
Um,
only.
if only. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. Dan, it's good to have you back on the podcast. Dan and I
Hell
will be
yeah!
back. Sorry, what was that?
I said hell yeah.
Excellent. Good to have you back, my friend. We will be back for FunSpark Day 2. We will be previewing the other 4 teams of this. It'll be Big versus Extra Salt, and it will be Evil Geniuses versus Dignitas. And the one thing we didn't talk about, Dignitas are replacing Heroic. Heroic have backed out of this tournament or this event due to scheduling issues. That was announced earlier today, I believe. So, big shot for Dignitas in this tournament.
Yeah.
All right, you can follow us on Twitter. Follow Dan at Wandelch, WANDELCH. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamWX21. Dan, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
In the words of Smix, good luck, have fun.
Good luck, have fun, everybody. Have a fantastic slate. Go win some money. Latest, peoples.